Hello and welcome to the 2026 Summer Tournament for Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Today we have a match in the Rimmildar group between Angel FM on the left and Cyberdark86 on the right. On tonight's, it's not night, except in some places, I guess. We have Vela V streaming, Chirino tracking, and I am your commentator, Secret Agent Man. Not much to speak of in the opening. 4 strength is as low as the opening goes. 4 MP is an amount, but not an amount where you can actually have a spell. And 15 agility is not as bad as it can go, but certainly not anything to whistle home about. So potentially a rough start for them. As mentioned, and as can be seen on screen, this is in the Rimmildar group. It's a bit of a make-or-break match potentially for Cyberdark. This is one of the 6-player groups, so Cyberdark losing this one would mean that he can only get 2 wins maximum. And it looks like the racers are off and running, and we will have the chess in the throne room soon. Golden Fairy Water could very well open the seat up in numerous ways. Fairy Water can be thrown for an amount of damage, averaging around 12, so definitely a damage increase, although you can only throw it once. Meanwhile, that gold is going to be enough to potentially buy things like a hand axe, more throwables. That all depends on if a town is outside or not. Cyberdark will be saving that gold immediately, just in case. Angel just going to go right outside and try to find an encounter, and certainly encounters aplenty, desert and hills all around. This is going to be tough to get through without seeing a bunch of enemies on your way to a town. Angel just deciding to run from the first enemy he sees, the Magician, and go for the Scorpion, which is a fantastic enemy, and gets a good roll to beat it. Cyberdark, meanwhile, finding slimes have hurt spells. That's kind of rough. Okay, there's potentially a big advantage for Angel just going with Fairy Water, but this should give Cyberdark the same level there. So, equals out immediately after. Another slime, potentially trying to take this gold somewhere, could have slowed this down, but that is hurt more. That is the best attacking move in the game, unless you crit. Or, of course, unless you're fighting something that can't be hurt more easily. Meanwhile, Angel will go into the cave and find out that it is staff trading cave, not currently useful. Cyberdark going to keep his money, but that's going to be a bit rough potentially here. Never mind the fact that Magidrakes apparently have Hurt More, but only 2 casts of Hurt More himself at level 2, so can get some things Hurt Moored, but keeping your money here is often going to be a bit slower than dying. That said, aside from the Magidrake, which he's encountering right here, we haven't really seen any swamp or anything you can immediately die off of, so honestly, not a bad decision there. We also see potentially the northwest corner of the map. Meanwhile, Cyberdark getting level 3 to catch up briefly, but Angel 1 encounter away from level 4, probably. Elects not to take it though, he wants bigger game, so Cyberdark will hit level 4 before and see another 4 power boost along with some magic points, fantastic, and some agility. That said, without any sort of healing, is in kind of a situation where I don't know how much longer he can keep this money. It looks like he's going back in to try to refill, but 5 HP, yeah, he's going to think better of it at that HP total. And we finally, I was about to say, we haven't seen an enemy worth hurting that much, but Angel just found the first one. A Knight is a fantastic enemy, guaranteed to kill it. Not the best bang for your buck, but darn close. Angel will also clear up that basically the entire west side of the map there, and get several more levels to go with it. Wraith, another fantastic hurt more enemy. As is the Wyvern, so a lot of not great hurt more targets early on, but now all of a sudden they're coming in a cavalcade. Cyberdark catches up a bit there in levels. Meanwhile, Angel in that scenario that I almost hate to be in, where you don't have the MP to hurt more or anything, but you can't get sent home. That said, so far he's only seen one enemy that you'd actually want to hurt more, so upside there, I guess. And Scorpions have DL2, making Angel's Fairy Water roll on it even better. I was about to say, Scorpions should be, well, maybe not repelled, but I think probably actually. Either way, they're close to it already, so potentially useful to have the repel so early, even aside from just the repelling part, is you're not going to be walloped by those. Angel the first to level 7, picks up a heal spell finally. Meanwhile, Cyberdark, finding out the long barren stretch of the west, does find an Axe Knight, which is a fantastic enemy usually to hurt more, but at this HP total it is a bit dangerous, and with the back attack it's basically undoable. At least that the HP total he was at. I think with I think he was not quite a full HP, but even then it's kind of a coin flip, I feel, on if it just back attacks you and kills you immediately no matter what. It's another one though, this time no back attack. We'll get off a hurt more. Will it kill though? It will. Bucket of experience there. Angel finding yet more enemies. I believe he's back in the southeasterly. Not that there's much other directions to go. Sees a cave this time. Meanwhile, Cyberdark discovering something red and dragony. So the cave on Angel's side is Mountain Cave. 5 chests in here. The first one will be Silver Harp, a required item, and I believe that's the trading cave he saw, so useful get right now. We'll go for the double check and get Blue Dragoned as Cyberdark ventures out from his death again. Does manage to get away. The agility total at 36 to 37, depending on your build, is a bit in that rough zone. Didn't see the second chest is worse. Third chest is an herb. Oh, second chest is Stones of Sunlight. So already nearly there in terms of trading items. This is shaping up to be a absolute, I was going to say race, barn burner. There we go. It was always a race. Angel will be the first hit level 8. A bit more resources there is honestly the kind of thing you'd really like to see. Obviously, a bit more HP would be nice above anything else, but take what you can get. Meanwhile, Cyberdark is just getting walloped by all these hurt more DL2 breath enemies out here. And the fifth chest will be a belt. So that is not useful right now, but that is information that at least one of the 3 search spots are in play. Meanwhile, metal slimes also have hurt more. On the one hand, it's good, I guess, that all these abilities are rolling out of things you can easily repel, but it hasn't really helped Cyberdark, partially because he's not repelling, and also partially just because, like, metal slimes, you'll always try fighting at least once. But yeah, right now, having repel on constantly seems like an ever-increasingly good idea. Wolflord, also another solid enemy to hurt more. Not the best, but you'll take any experience in a storm. And then a Stone Man, and he's also back attacked by it on Cyberdark side, so that is, again, rough. They have the sleep spell. If you don't get back attacked, you've got a 3 and 4 shot to sleep it and just get away from it easily, but speaking of bad luck, Angel run failing a Golem at 38 agility, one of the few Sherlock enemies you should be able to just run from almost all the time with this much agility, and deciding no there. So Seed treating both racers very harshly. Another back attack DO2 from us. You gotta just start repelling these enemies away. This is just getting too rough. At this point, I think half of Cyberdark's deaths have come not from him actually trying to fight and grind somewhere, or even some sort of unrunnable enemy. They've just come from dumb things like the slimes and Magidrakies, metal slimes I should say, Magidrakies and scorpions, just basically back attacking him or taking him into town somehow. Angel back where he died earlier, finding the Rogue Scorpion. I don't know that we knew if it had hurt more yet, but Angel does certainly for now at least. Meanwhile, Cyberdark finally managing to catch up to level 8. That said, Angel not that far from level 9, but the Blue Dragon isn't something you can really get it off of right now. And refusing not to back attack him, and now it will finally send him home. The good news is he kind of deadened that area already, I think, so should have a better idea of where he needs to go at this point, but rough. Now, Cyberdark in a in the mountain cave will get, hopefully, those 2 trading items and be ready to continue exploring as far as you really can right now. Because Angel has been sent home again. On the one hand, unless you got a spike tile, Hurtmore is often treated as a license to explore, but my goodness, what I wouldn't give in a seed for a bit more HP and MP if I were a racer. And level 9 will provide. None of that, but 10 agility maybe means you can get away a bit more often. That said, speaking of that, Cyberdark gets run, blocked, and killed by a DK, but was done, I believe, with all the chests in there. At the very least, he got the two important ones. Hopefully he doesn't have to go back in for a meaningless one. And this is one thing I was curious about Angel not doing. Angel, I don't believe, has gone back in and traded in the staff, but Cyberdark will. Might come up large. That said, at the rate they're getting sent back, probably won't. There's some chance that you manage to explore all the way over to find, I don't know, coal sitting right next to Jerk Cave at the end of the world for the last trade-in. But right now, at least, you're being sent home enough where it doesn't seem like it's going to matter. Both the enemies on screen, in fact, are potentially going to send racers home, depending. But only Angel gets sent home so far. And Angel will go ahead and, just in case, manage to trade in that harp for the Staff of Rain. Meanwhile, Cyberdark, I think, is maybe in a new area. At the very least, it feels like he's further south than Angel had gotten. We'll also catch up a bit on experience. About 200 behind now, not bad. Does get level 9 as well for the agility boost. In as much as it has actually helped Angel at all, it could be important. It should be important, but agility is just a number. And they're basically gonna high-five each other almost exactly on the same tile there for a moment. Oof. Yet another AK death, Axe Knight death by Angel. Just nothing you can really do. If you get back attack at the correct place, just throw the Hurtmore out and hope. But hope has not been much good so far this seed. Somewhat telling in the seed that they've got around 17 deaths-ish. 18 between them. And the things that have been killing them most often haven't been the things like the blue dragon, the red dragon. It's been just the stuff you can actually hurt more relatively easily. It just hasn't been going well for them. Like, that's another back attack, and since he was on the swamp, Angel had taken just enough damage. Like, there's nothing you can do there. I guess you can heal earlier, but he was on the last step of the swamp and about to heal right then, so that's absolutely the correct play. Otherwise, you're potentially wasting a bunch of MP, but just rough RNG. That said, Cyberdark has finally gotten through the rough RNG and found the non-town of Hawksness. Honestly, if armor is on the coordinates, this could be absolutely huge, because right now they need all the defense they can get just to live. Another back attack, and they also have stop spell. This is just miserable. Doesn't heal. Oh, that was, oh, that's a shame. I mean, he was potentially dead anyway, but you really need to heal before you take on the spike tile there. But since he wasn't quite at full HP before he walked onto it, had just enough wiggle room there for the green dragon to kill him. That said, a tough, potentially spike tile to get through. It does have a bit more hurt resistance than some, and it isn't guaranteed or all well, I forget the odds on it, but it isn't hugely likely, I'll put it that way, to kill it with a single hurt more. So that's a potentially rough encounter. That said, you gotta, as chat noting, probably just go right back to it. Meanwhile, Angel took another death to yet another Axe Knight. And Cyberdark is back in the Mountain Cave. I'm curious, is he gonna be grinding in Mountain Cave? That feels so rough, though. Is he trying to maybe set up a gold grind, assuming that... No, there was no keys. So yeah, this must be an experienced grind. Oh, he didn't get chest 5. And I suppose being this close to the level also helps out a lot. It also functionally costs him nothing because Angel has not yet made it to Hawksness or seen it at all. And Angel's pathing here might suggest that, if he's just taking some encounters on that zone through the way, this honestly wouldn't be a bad grind zone to get a bit more HP total. But it feels so bad with 60-something MP and 43 HP and nearly 50 agility. Like, it feels so bad to just sit and grind with Hurtmore. Unless, of course, it's like a really great zone. That said, another enemy, I don't know that we'd seen the Knight use the L2 Breath. Could be, it's possible it did, it's hard to tell. Meanwhile, Cyberdark getting sent back again from the Blue Dragon. Yeah, this feels like the Seed trying to tell them both, just go grind somewhere, because you're not going to get anywhere anytime soon. Brief pace there in the desert from Cyberdark. He could be going that route and deciding to grind a bit, but if so, the werewolf is apparently the incorrect enemy to do that on. Healmore basically counters the Hurtmore unless it decides not to, or you one-shot that werewolf. So that is not a great enemy. In a list of enemies that are not great in the Seed, it goes on there somewhere. It's a very long list. We'll head right back down in the Mountain Cave and immediately get a Stone Man. Does run away from it. This time, though, gets back attacked and will cast Sleep. Meanwhile, on the other side, Angel again trying to take down this Axe Knight that he finds, and again, nearly the exact same spot as one of those previous deaths via Axe Knight. Just doesn't quite manage to kill it, and that's the danger of this with 43 HP. Like, if they had 10 even more HP, this wouldn't be nearly as bad. That said, as Shirno noting in chat, this shouldn't be that bad. The odds of running or not getting ambushed or etc. in this Seed have been very badly misserved. That was a brief stat check, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was Angel wondering why he's getting back attacked so much. Because there's another one. Meanwhile, Cyberdark got back attacked by a golem, which I forgot was even possible. Logistically, I don't think it should. Logistically, I think golems and stone men and goldmen should never be able to back attack. How does one of those sneak up on you? That said, it certainly did a good job of it that time against Cyberdark. This has just been... The Siege shouldn't be feeling this rough, but it has been. I mean, they may blend in with the floor visually, but auditorily, sound-based detection should audibly, there we go, words, audibly, they blend in with absolutely nothing unless you're in a, I don't know, a brick factory. Angel sees Hawksness that has thus far eluded Cyberdark, along with that final chest, and I think Cyberdark has just decided to forget the final chest for now and just continue on back to Hawksness. So we're going to be seeing pretty, hopefully quick clears by both of them. That said, the Seed has its ways, as we've seen so far. I think if there's any enemy in Dragon Warrior that is like a Weeping Angel, I'm immediately retiring. First hurt more from Angel does not manage to kill it, but he does land the hurt afterwards and takes it down. But Cyberdark again gets front blocked. And that's Token. Oh my goodness, they've got all three of the trading items. Once they find the final trading cave of Jerk, so named because he kicks you out if you do not have all three items, Angel is ready to just turn that in and get his ticket into Sherlock. Cyberdark, presumably not far behind, although with a Seed you just can't tell. Angel finds another cave. I wouldn't be surprised, for hilarity's sake, if this was just Jerk right down here. Cyberdark trying to run this forest and get some encounters. It is Jerk. And finally does get the Star Wyvern down here. A hurt more and a hurt will take that out. Oh no, it won't quite. Oof. Paid for not going for the hurt more, and then into another hurt more. Meanwhile, Angel finding coal. Oh, Cyberdark's inability to get past armor. Oh wow, I was about to say Cyberdark's inability to get past or even back to Hawksness could really hurt him, and it honestly pretty much has. Erdrick's armor is the best armor in the game, and a large shield on top of that will basically clean up a lot of these deaths. Even at 44 HP, which is still not great, you're just going to be able to survive a bit better. Never mind all the swamp that we've seen, so that is absolutely massive. Also massive is finding Swamp Cave here. Angel electing not to check the Spike Tile. Given the way this Seed has treated them both, I imagine the Spike Tile is a red dragon. Beyond that, it's entirely possible this back ends into Garen Hammer Tendril, in which case it would be absolutely massive, especially in Tendril's case, because they still don't have keys. The Seed, it feels really weird 27 minutes into a Seed saying they still don't have, as if it's been an hour or something, but certainly the deaths have been an hour's worth of deaths, and it feels like a fast Seed that's playing very, very slow. And another zone with air dragons out in the overworld will not speed it up. Angel will be sent home again. That said, he got one of the most important items you can get in a Seed like this. Armor is just... There's, in a early hurt more Seed, there is nothing as good as having good defense. Cyberdark back into Mountain Cave for the third, fourth, seventh time. It's hard to count. This has just been a rough run of luck in trying to get in here. And it turns out, speaking of rough turns, the red dragon was out here all along. Didn't realize it was that close to start. Or at least I did, but I thought it was in the other direction. Cyberdark gets away from that blue. Needs to get away from probably the rest of them in here again, but will start making his way to the final chest, and will he? He does finally make it to the final chest. Cyberdark's long national nightmare is finally over. Now he can go to Hawksness, and hopefully, assuming that doesn't also go wrong, or he doesn't run out of resources at this rate, but hopefully we'll be able to get his armor soon. Back attack Knight DL2, that's a fun time. Cyberdark just electing to take a death there since he was low on resources. That's not a bad play. That said, obviously, if he could have gotten to coal, that would have been a bit better in terms of routing. But obviously, you can never assume in this map that you're going to get even a screen without dying, much less a screen without dying on 10, 12 MP, or whatever it was. Angel back past, I believe, Hawksness. We'll explore the other way and find a different town, I think? It's a town of a sorts, but Breckenary does, at the very least, have a cheap inn that Angel can avail himself of. And then he can continue on past that. Meanwhile, Cyberdark approaching various areas that he's been to before and hopefully will not have to be through again anytime soon. Finally, we're starting to see the luck normalize a bit with far less back attacks, far less weird things happening. You know, Angel finds that the cave just past Breckenary was Tablet Cave, one chest in here, no encounters. Honestly, you'll take that at this point. That said, it is a bit of a shame they're having to, well, he's having to, but likely Cyberdark will as well, dive this without outside. Bit of a time sink for a single gold chest. Cyberdark nearly equalizing the experience gap again, but it's going to depend on if he can get away from this wizard. Oh no. Okay, just barely manages to get away. Resources are getting kind of scant though, and still needs to clear Hawksness and then get past it, and finds yet another doggone wizard. This map so far has been the gift that keeps on giving. What a weird and silly place for Sherlock to be. Angel is just gonna open it up right now. Get that menuing out of the way. Oh, Cyberdark again doesn't heal in front of the spike tile. That said, has a bit more chance to survive now, and if this hurt more lands, and it does, he will finally have that crossed off. Now the question is if he can get past here, because of course this is the token, which is great, but the armor, which is, at this point is much better, is like a screen southwest of here. So not only does he have to find a town before he dies, which to be fair, with Breckenary there, he's going to find a town in one direction or another. but he will take the, I hesitate to say, but the wrong direction in the end to get him armor and find a Breckenary instead. This is a bit unfortunate if he doesn't decide to just check the other direction, but like, it's one of those things where you often say spiral, spiral, spiral. But once you end up this far in a map, and you have this life expectancy, I should say, you kind of feel bad spiraling past like a choice like that, a little small branch. But apparently past Breckenary is seemingly absolutely nothing, unless, okay, no, that does continue on that way, I think. But just a bit unfortunate because Cyberdark is going to be continuing to explore without that armor. And in fact, got no armor, not even the leather armor in Breckenary. Angel circles around and finds a cave, not many left. That said, that's a repeat, and because that's the tablet cave that he's already been through and Cyberdark is currently in. So another near high five there. Only a couple caves out. Actually, there's only... Is there only Grave? Yeah, no, Grave and Freebie Cave are the only outstanding caves, I believe. And they've got to be behind locked doors now, so... So does manage to find the Garenham town, but unfortunately finds it without keys, which is a bit rough routing wise. That said, so far, given Grave has to be behind a locked door, there's only one place, unless Freebie Cave. No, Freebie Cave would also be behind a locked door. So yeah, there's only one place you can get keys, and that's going to be Rimeldar, and it has not been found at all. Meanwhile, I think Angel just found the southeast corner. They started in the northeast, and Angel got here by or northwest. There we go. Northwest, southwest. They got here via Angel circling around the entire map to the east, south, and then back around to the west. So Angel has basically circumnavigated the world almost. This is astounding, and he's circled back around, in fact, to, I believe, the two places that he's already found as well. So it is 100% on second continent is Rimeldar. That is gonna hurt Cyberdark even more. Well, while we await Angel finding Rimeldar, which I think has to be here unless there's been a mapping mistake. To mention in chat, oh, Red Dragon. And that'll send Angel home, so he won't be able to find Rimeldar anytime soon at least. But to answer a question in chat, for this group, it is absolutely rough. All of them honestly are this year. But this one is certainly one of the more... back attacked by a knight again at low HP and just low enough. Not having the armor is obviously just doing wonders for Cyberdark's survivability. The problem is the wonders are not good wonders. And he's just gonna go the other direction, grind some Axe Knights already. I think so, at least that's the only thing that's over here. There's a knight right there. But I think there were also Axe Knights over here, which I assume is what Cyberdark is currently hunting. But he's going right past it. Is there just another direction to explore down here, or wasn't? Okay, maybe Cyberdark just had a question mark on his map somewhere that he wasn't quite sure he'd explored. Honestly, for Angel, the grind would probably be checking swamp spike first, but the green dragon isn't the worst thing you can run into. I don't love it at this HP total because if a hurt more fails, you're very likely dead with no armor. But obviously also not nearly as big a worry in Angel's case. But anyway, one thing I was going to mention, this group is indeed a tough one. We have Angel FM currently leading the group with 2 wins out of 2 races. And we have like Smashy, Velavi, the restreamer of the day, Artorias, Big Slamu, and Cyberdark. So an absolute who's who of just powerhouses. That is a rough group. So Angel nearly getting to level 13, just a little bit off. That said, also not going to see another encounter for the next 5 years, apparently. As noted by chat, armor is right here in Cole where Angel is. Cyberdark was a screen away, but chose the right path instead of the left path. The right path led to disappointment and Brecconary, which is the same word, and also to death, which Cyberdark has again. This is just rough. And Angel again on second continent. Let's see if he can avoid a red dragon here. So far this zone has been at least 80% red dragons. Does manage to get past that spot of it though, but finds nothing, which means there's some little bit on first continent that Angel and Cyberdark both have repeatedly not seen. Some little finger or small path or little bit or bob that has led to them not having Rimodar sighted. So he's gonna check. Maybe there is. No, there's nothing. So yeah, it's definitely on first continent somewhere. Meanwhile, the levels continue to not give much at all. So now the big question is it just some sort of, back attack deal too? Wait, no, that isn't Erm right there, that's Brecconary again, right? Or, no, that isn't Brecconary, where was that? Oh, that was Girenham. Meanwhile, Angel barely saved by his defense points there, and that's one of the keys of having Erdrick's armor right now, is just not taking swamp damage and then also just having that little bit of extra defense points. But one question right now is, did Angel miss Rimodar? Did he miss the path there? Does he know like relatively where it is? Is it somewhere that Cyberdark hasn't yet gotten to explore? Angel returning out of there, so thinks it might be closer to home, in fact. Meanwhile, speaking of home, the Red Dragon will send Cyberdark back there. So the differences in agility at this point aren't going to be that much. As you can see, Cyberdark only has 3 extra agility, and I don't think any was gained on, I don't remember what the stat that was singularly gained on the next level was. I can probably just, no I can't. But it's not going to matter that much yet, and the bigger point is, HP, the bigger point is just agility is good and all, but if you don't have any armor, back attacks are going to kill you whenever they happen a lot of times anyway. Especially if you don't have any armor and there's a bunch of swamp around and you don't have the armor. That has to be Rim. Angel has found it and has basically fully cleared the map now. I think, no, he hasn't found Cantland. Ooh, where is that? It must be around here somewhere too, I would assume. But finding Rimodar first, Angel will be given access to the only free keys in existence. And by free, I mean you pay for them, but you don't at least pay a key. Meanwhile, Cyberdark probably wants to pay for this seed to just go away. Another death. Chest in Rimodar is the fighter's ring. Honestly, looms kind of large considering how nothing burger their strength is so far. 2 AP might be very, very important because that's what the fighter's ring does. Gonna continue past to find Cantland. Absolutely the correct decision. That said, is it up here? It is. That has to be Cantland, I believe, because I think we've seen everything else. We'll finally get to check the coordinates and see if they exist. I believe we've only seen one cursed belt, although I'm not entirely sure. And a red dragon sends Cyberdark home once again. So the coordinates are 42 south, 16 west. Not uncountable. I think the hardest part of the count will just be living, giving the enemies in the seed, but definitely not a hard count to do in terms of logistical counting. So the only thing Angel really cares about at this point, Death Necklace and Flute, could potentially be useful in some scenarios, but the only thing he really cares about right now is getting Sword. It was not in the basement. Neither were the other 2 items, to be fair. The basement, the treasury. The basement is Grave. So the potential for a gold grind in here, but you don't have outside yet, which makes it kind of rough to do it this way. I don't believe any of the chests in Treasury was a gold chest. If it was, obviously Angel isn't going to be setting the gold grind up right now. Okay, so there was a gold chest. Angel not interested in it, seemingly. And this Golem not interested in Angel living, but does just barely manage to. Although now he's leaving, I'm curious. He did see another gold, another cursed belt. This cursed belt wouldn't really matter because he's already checked 2 of the search spots and found them occupied, so. And he's obviously knows where this is, knows the overworld coordinates is this, so I guess the belt isn't actually information at this point. Cyberdark, meanwhile, I think finally sees, go into the town. Cyberdark, no, town! And there is the fairy flute. So, sword is either bottom of grave, in Freebie Cave in Garenham, or in the back of Garenham, or in Sharlock.
Do you mind just grabbing the laptop?
Oh god, goddamn, your laptop's hot.
I don't know, Garfield. Using a flute as a weapon worked out for Frederick the Great.
Okay.
So Cyberdark will manage to get the armor now. Almost certainly feels absolutely behind, given how close it was. He could have had this like 10-15 minutes easily ago if he had just gone the other direction and also not died 15,000 times. It feels like. Yeah, 24 deaths. It feels rough in a seed like this. Cyberdark will also elect to go on and explore second continent rather than checking the spike tile. Gonna find a lot of nothing if he can get past the red dragons, which plagued Angel so much. I mean, speaking of plaguing Angel so much, trying to manipulate, not manipulate, but get a good roll to get away, and finally does. Probably gonna stop over in Brecken area for a heal. Ah, Destiny. That must be why the deaths for Cyberdark are actually only 24 on screen, is because in actuality, he's just hit the overflow cap. And they've gone back down to 24. That said, in a bit of good luck from him, he gets through this zone at least once and manages the dead end to second continent without actually seeing a red dragon back here. And in the back of Garenham we have gold, curse belt, and torch. And the guaranteed freebie cave, which is another torch. So sword is either in Sharlock or bottom grave, which might be a route back in for Cyberdark. But right now, Cyberdark has been sent home again, this time by the red dragon he managed to avoid the first time through that area. So Angel of him, if he wants to, can now settle in for a grind a little bit. Or you could go back and immediately dive grave. That said, honestly, if the spike tile in Swamp Cave is a Axe Knight, just leave grave until you have at least a bit more HP just in case. At one thing we haven't really specifically mentioned, at level 13 with armor, Angel is still not guaranteed to live a DL2 breath. That said, we'll elect for the grind he knows that is closer to home in the Green Dragon. should be able to cut through these just fine with hurt more and hand axe at this level. Well, maybe not the hand axe, but at the very least the hurt more. That said, if Swamp Cave is in, if Swamp Cave has an Axe Knight, that could be an avenue for Cyberdark to get back into it, because the Axe Knights are generally superior when they don't back attack you. And potentially kill you, but Cyberdark just barely survives. You know, Angel hitting level 14, only a slight bit ahead, and suddenly stats. I think that was like only the second or third we've seen any stat be double digits, and in that time all of them were double digits, so both the racers hitting that simultaneously and suddenly being confused that stats were allowed. To answer Artorias, the only two chests that have not been cleared in the overworld are the deep grave chests under Tanager. Aside from that, Angel has cleared everything, so Sword is either there or in Sharlock. And Angel might avail himself of that check now, potentially, because the Green Dragon sent him home. Cyberdark finding out about Garenham. Not useful now, but will actually still not be useful later, now that I think about it. That's another little thing that could get Cyberdark back into this race, because right now, despite experience being basically tied, he is vastly behind in terms of exploration. Has not quite found all the little bits. I don't even know that he's seen Sharlock yet. But if he dies with keys and just deep dives grave before he does anything else, he could potentially get Sword out of there and have skipped out on a lot of extra exploration. That said, this map is an absolute maze with all these little weird islands and switchbacks, so I don't exactly know where Caitlin and Rimodar was. I think they were to the north and the west, so he might be on the route, potentially? No, not yet. And in fact, no, okay, this does go through. Sees Sharlock, so he finally has that knowledge. But is Caitlin up here, or is it some other little fiddly bit? Meanwhile, Angel back to the grind. And meanwhile, Cyberdark, not landing the Hurtmore on the Star Wyvern, takes another death. Angel about 1,000 short of the level, so a handful of a handful of green dragons. There we go. Yeah, everything kind of goes back. I think Angel was generally in the lead just due to exploration luck, or not dying luck, I should say. But everything kind of goes back to that decision of Cyberdark to go right instead of left. If he goes left, he sees armor before he has to buy anything, and potentially just gets the hand axe instead. But instead he went left and managed to buy a couple things and not have enough for the hand axe, presumably. Or at least didn't decide to check the shop for a hand axe. So is instead just kind of just relying on that hurt more a lot more. Does find Rimuldar though, and it is not far from Cantland, so should have that information. And honestly, if he decides not to find Cantland, that is technically a way back into the seed, because we know it's just going to give you the flute. And given the fact that the sword is in hiding, not exactly something you're going to need anytime soon, unless a golem is on the Sherlock Spike tile. That said, Angel, just a little bit shy of level 15, is gonna go take a walk and try to get the level on the way to healing up. Or will he? Yes, he does find an enemy. Oh, but he doesn't have any resources either. Oh, that's probably gonna be fine, but I kind of expected him to die there just because the seed wants them to. Meanwhile, he decides to check this shop and gets one of the NPCs in the way for a little bit. Does manage to finally get past, does find a silver shield, and I think that was maybe a flame sword. And he also gets the hand axe, so that is potentially useful. Meanwhile, on the other side we have level 15, which is absolutely required. But it's only required in as much as it gets you closer to level 16, because that level was not much at all. At the very least, some HP. It's fine, I guess. You need it, but also you do like a lot more of it than just 8. Cyberdark will find Cantland, so he has found, I think, all of the locations. Someone mentioned he did go into Jerk Cave, he just didn't trade in for some reason. Could be that his tracking of items is a little bit off. But if Sword is in Deep Grave, thinking that he doesn't have all the items might convince him even more to go into Deep Grave and get that sword, if it is. Obviously, the odds are it's in Sherlock. So it could be yet another way to gain some time back, because the experience gap closed very briefly, but is now back up to over 2,000 and continuing to grow. Oh no, he did go into it. Yeah, I think he had the drop there. So I think he did actually trade in for the drop, because his inventory was very slim. Either that or they just haven't managed to hold a bunch of items for the entirety of the seed. Oh, no drop then, yeah, so I guess he just doesn't have any items. Well, he's got plenty now. We'll also see there's a gold chest, but not decide to, that's honestly, if you're going to check the shops anyway at this point, you're doing it because you're setting up the gold grind. I would just leave and assume this is grave. There's a 50-degree shot, but it's better that better to do it now than to wait. Because he will not be able to gold grind on the top floor either, so he's going to have to do a little bit of this walking again. Angel probably going to be done with Hawk's Nest soon. In fact, after that, heal more now. So he's going to go back and restore again. Still a ways off from level 16. Would you say that check was Pregante? I apologize for nothing. So Cyberdark will be going Deep Grave. We'll also be going back attack by Golem, not healing afterwards. Bit dangerous there, but manages to avoid another one. So if Sword is in one of these two chests, obviously odds are it's in one of the 6 chests in Sherlock, but if it is in here, and it is, that is potentially a big get for Cyberdark. Obviously, I think Angel will still check it before going into Sherlock, but it's entirely possible he doesn't. Like, the odds are it's in Sherlock. At this point, you're really hoping you run into a golem immediately. The problem is, you're only going to run into a golem about 5 steps away from the stairs. Or maybe not even at all. Maybe you run into nothing. And Cyberdark are going to forgo that gold grind. So he's not going to try to leverage the agility into something else. Obviously he is behind, and we haven't really seen too much dangerous from Sherlock enemies, so... In fact, I don't know that we've seen anything from Sherlock enemies. I don't know that we've seen a single ability except on the werewolf, and that had heal more. That said, they can still kill you, as Cyberdark just was informed by the seed. My goodness, the RNG in this seed has just been atrocious. So Angel in a pretty commanding lead, but if he doesn't check Grave, Cyberdark still has a route back into this place. A route back into this race, I should say. Meanwhile, Angel hits level 16, gets a fair bit of experience in a lot of ways, but not fair to stats in a lot of ways, but not quite what he needs. Instead, he is going to go back now, and if he's going back now, he's 100% checking Grave at this moment. I think the thought process for Angel was probably that he wanted to do Deep Dive Grave before he hits go, but he also doesn't want to, words. Actually, is Angel doing a gold grind? There's no other reason to be opening this up right now, unless Angel wants to do a gold grind. So he wanted it outside. He wanted maybe a bit more resources, and that's bad news for Cyberdark because Angel is still going to be ahead after the gold grind probably, and can now also be ahead and have a silver shield. There was a brief pause before Angel checked the upper left chest, and I think maybe he was not sure if the gold was in the upper left or in the middle. And yeah, you can see him right there avoiding the top 3. I think he's 100% just doing the gold grind on the top 3, since there is a chest on the top floor that is gold. Like, obviously he would have preferred to get it in the treasury, but I think he just wasn't quite sure which one was the gold. Obviously no reason to need to check it ahead of time, but maybe he wasn't sure if he'd checked it in the first place. And we'll outside after the final chest and go right back in to start the gold grind. Since he got Erdrick's sword in here, he won't need to grind far, since he just needs the silver shield, unless of course a blue dragon kills him. Unless of course a golem kills him. The only downside is I'm not sure, Angel hasn't been checking many shops, and I'm not sure he knows where a silver shield is. That said, all the towns are also kind of in the same direction, and most of them are close to the grind, so... Meanwhile, Cyberdark has been continuing to grind on these green dragons to try to catch up, but he is still just a massive amount of experience behind Angel. I know there was one in Rimeldar. I don't remember the coal weapon shop. That'll be level 15 for Cyberdark. Still about 2,400 behind. One thing that's kind of hilarious is the scale must be in Sherlock, and neither of the racers have decided to buy one, which is actually kind of annoyingly important in this race, especially once you get the silver shield. Oh, grave 5 was... so neither of them have put it on, because both have been to grave 5. Or have they? No, yeah, no. They both left. So, that would be kind of funny. Either way, I think if you're going to go to a town, hopefully you're going to wind up at one that has the dragon skill. That said, I don't know where in relation, like one of the easy ones is in Breckenary, another easy one is in Garenham. I guess Garenham is pretty close to this whole area, so you maybe just go in there if you want the scale. Okay, and Angel will be headed back to Cole, which does indeed have the silver shield. Meanwhile, Cyberdark will go back and do the homework of grabbing the drop. So Angel now in an even more commanding lead, still 1,000 plus, not sure exactly where it is, experience ahead, and also has a silver shield advantage. Yeah, still about 2,000 and change experience ahead. And Angel will be back on the grind now. Still 1 defense point shy of breaking these enemies though, which is kind of rough. So now both racers almost certainly in just grind until you get the stats mode. I doubt Cyberdark, having skipped it earlier, is going to go back for a gold grind, so he's just going to make do with the large shield, which generally will be enough. Which means the next level we're looking at is 12,000, which Angel is just about 900 away, so not too many green dragons at all. Angel is looking for more AP and more HP in nearly equal measure. Honestly, Hoodie, I think it might even be quicker to just walk to the Garanham shop, which I think Garanham is basically just like 2 screens diagonal from here. That said, I think a lot depends on if you have Fairy Water, because, well, Breckenary is right there too, yeah. So I think, honestly, I maybe consider it, especially in Angel's situation where he will be breaking the green dragons. I think it all routes pretty well to just do that, but he hasn't done it yet, and if he hasn't done it yet, he may just decide never to do it. Which would be kind of hilarious, to grab the Silver Shield and yet always be just a fraction of a way from actually being able to use it to break something that you would want to break. That said, speaking of want, Angel is going to find out if what he wants is on level 16. It is a little bit. Some of it is there. That said, is just enough agility to break the green dragons. That is a massive advantage in his case. Surprised he's not just continuing to grind considering that, but he's also out of well, not quite out of resources. So with the green dragons down, the next thing Angel could potentially break would be the Axe Knights, but even with the dragon skill, would need to pick up a bit of agility to do that. Next level will be at 14,250. So it'll be a ways, especially on this grind. So this dueling grind will continue going on a little bit. Angel is going to save some time just by being able to not take as much damage, use a little bit less time healing. It's finally starting to close in on it now. Not too many more green dragons left to go. Cyberdark, meanwhile, still maintaining that 2,000 and change experience deficit. And given they're on the same grind, and Angel is better equipped, almost certainly not going to catch up. Yeah, Tirna, that's the one thing that really could have gotten Cyberdark back into it, is if he had checked the Spike Swamp, but just did not elect to, and it's right near here. It's like one screen to the southwest, right, I think? So that decision could loom very large. That said, given the seed, it's almost certainly something useless and annoying. Somehow it's the Healmore werewolf in the first ever werewolf spike tile seed. And here we go. This will get Angel the level, I say, as he fails to kill it with a melee. This will get Angel the level looking just for HP and AP. That's all he needs. And honestly, you give him HP, he doesn't need too much more. And that's the HP. That's the HP done and dusted. But no AP again. And this is still not the realm where you can even put on the death necklace. Also not really at the amount of MP gain where you can really make use of that either. Like, this is one of those situations where everything is very nearly go, but it's a level that even I would not actually go on, even with Fairy Water. Meanwhile, Cyberdark gets the bad news about level 17. Experience gap starting to widen just a little bit as Angel takes advantage more and more of that extra defense points. And the likely final level, given that all Angel needs is a boatload more MP or just even a handful more AP, is going to be level 19 at 16,500, but it still can find ways to disappoint potentially. That said, the list of ways it can disappoint is shrinking rapidly. It would have to be a pretty empty level. Level 13 doesn't exist and you can't change my bond. In fact, you can't even change the game's bond. Cyberdark taking a potentially dangerous extra fight here at lower HP, does get back attacked, does get the hurt more off, but now is in a potential situation where he might die, but luckily does not miss. That said, needs to scamper back to healing now. And this is one of the areas where Angel will start to set himself up a little bit more. It's these little trips right here and the minuscule bits and bobs of time that Cyberdark spends healing, and he also spends running into a blue dragon outside, but does manage to get away from it. That would have been very, very bad indeed. Cyberdark is already in the hole. He doesn't need to die to a blue dragon steps away from healing. So 16,500 is nearly reached. In fact, this will do it. Unless my math is even worse than it usually is. So we're gonna see level 19 here, and will it have anything? 8, that's almost certainly, yeah, no, that's go. Go. There is indeed no kill like overkill. Fairy Water will speed up this fight if you do it. That said, it isn't even required, but it does, you know, help if you lose resources in Sherlock. I will note, we haven't really seen anything in Sherlock worrying at all. And honestly, about the only thing I would use Fairy Water for would be rappelling down through Sherlock. You didn't quite reach the point where you're breaking Axe Knights, but you are breaking one of the dragons and everything below it. So a fair bit of time to be gained from rappelling, and Sherlock is a little bit away from any town. Ironically, Beta, Angel was the one rappelling the most early on. And there is also the ability to take on this, actually no, with the scale right there, he actually is breaking Axe Knights. That is absolutely fantastic. So that means he's only going to not be repelling the Stonemen, the Golems, the Blue Dragons, and the Red Dragons, and the Armored Knights. Which, to be fair, is still a lot of enemies, but that takes out a lot of Sherlock. So, in a very commanding position right now, absolutely the favorite to win. With this HP total and this defense total, very likely not going to have any sort of problems in Sherlock. That said, it'll depend on some of the enemies. We still haven't really seen, I don't think we've seen any armored knights. We've seen blue dragons, but not in any sort of long form. It's just basically been times they unlock your back attack. It's possible they have something. We haven't seen a lot of red dragons, although we have seen more attacks by them, so... Meanwhile, Cyberdark closing in on the needed level 19. Might not get it this run, though. I don't think he will. So it will be another situation where Angel's just being able to sit on that grind without using nearly as many resources will end up paying dividends. So Angel into Sherlock, starting to see some of the encounters, hasn't seen anything dangerous or unseen yet, I believe. So far it's just been these stonemen. And Angel will be using these fairy water, at least some of them, to rappel down through Sherlock and avoid even more encounters. There's the unfriendly blue. That said, at this defense total points and this HP total points, there's very little reason to worry about them at all, and honestly not much reason to even bother casting a heal or throwing an herb out after an encounter. You've got plenty of ability to just run into a red dragon and still mercy rule it before it actually gets you in kill range. Hoodie, this seed has been challenging that assumption. So the fairy water making quick work of the top two zones of Sherlock, but the final zone does have the red dragons. So we'll make it into the bottom and we'll check for Death Necklace. Hopefully it's in grave 5, but it is not. It is the very first chest. Ah, doggone it. Well, that makes the fight even freer. Basically pushes DL2 odds into a rounding error. That said, red dragons aplenty down here. Honestly, it feels like it could be a double red dragon zone even. And this one is finally starting to rough up the joint a bit. It does cause Angel to burn a heal more. That said, even with that heal more burned with the Death Necklace in tow, it's meaningless. speaking of Venus, that Golem spike tile. So that will be Angel through... I spoke too soon. Meanwhile, Cyberdark has hit level 19 and is going to be trying to get out of here and go into Sharlock. That said, running into a blue dragon that doesn't want him to leave just yet. So Angel into the DO1 fight. Death Necklace goes on. And very soon, DO1 goes down. Gets a stop spell to potentially make it even freer. And since he's breaking DO2, DO1, if you're making a break DO2, breaking DO1, he will get into the fight with basically full HP rounded down, or whatever. Full HP after it is rounded down. There we go. Also doesn't get the back attack, so this fight is over and done with already, unless a miss menu happens, because there is really nothing in terms of rolls that you could see here that would make this go wrong. Meanwhile, Cyberdark entering Sharlock, so we'll be a dive behind. Even I can't jinx this Errandy too, unless there's a miss menu, which, I mean, if Angel's menuing skills are so weak that I can jinx him into mismenuing, then obviously I would be a much better racer, because I would just say I'm doomed in this race unless my opponent mismenus during every Sharlock dive. And I'd win every single one of my races. So it's not possible for me to do that. And I don't know that it's possible for the DL2 to actually do anything to stop this. Beta, that was me the year I didn't manage to win any of my group stage races, the year I got Archfield. I've had that experience. I'm good not having it again for a while. I haven't been tracking the rolls. Chirino has, though, and I think he's dead on the swing, and he in fact is dead on the swing. Get your GGs out. Angel has swept through the Dragon Lord to basically like butter, or at least as like butter as 137 AP gets, and will be taking home his third win and putting Cyberdark in a very, very dangerous situation. Cyberdark gonna continue running the seed down. No reason not to. You're already in Sharlock. Meanwhile, we'll find out if Angel is going to be joining us in the booth. Looks like he's going to skip the booth for today. Probably wants to go hurt more things that actually care about being hurt more after this seed. Meanwhile, Cyberdark will discover that Armored Knights had DL2 breath, not that it mattered until now. That said, he is guaranteed to run from it here. That said, he also doesn't heal. Heal! Do you have herbs? Use them! Cyberdark! So Cyberdark also going to be checking the for the Death Necklace. I think he's maybe used... No, he hasn't actually used resources. I mean, he has, but not enough resources to use him a heal more. But he will still check. And get the news of absolute freedom. That said, he'll get it a bit later because he's going to check it in the opposite order. and get Red Dragon for his trouble. Also gets the spare dragon skill for his trouble. I think he'd already equipped one before then, but maybe he hadn't. That said, is going to be Red Dragon again, is going to continue running around at sub 80 HP. Bit dangerous. Even more dangerous. I don't think Angel saw a single armor knight in Sherlock. I think Cyberdark has maybe seen 2 different zones with him, at the very least 1 different zone with him. And this one back attacks him, deal 2 breath, run block. Will he use the heal more? He will. There's no reason not to, but honestly, given the luck on this final floor, and a miss menu. No, potentially a miss menu. He might just decide to end it. Nope, he's not going to. So yeah, that was almost certainly a miss menu. And a brief consideration on if he should just swing again, or potentially another double miss menu. And another Red Dragon back attack. This Sherlock should be free, but especially this agility, like, Cyberdark has had more trouble in this Sherlock than Angel, with 7 more agility, because agility is just silly. It's not even just a number, it is objectively silly. It exists to torture you. The problem is that agility makes it better, it really improves your ability to run. The problem is the game does not care about your ability to run as much as it cares about torturing you when you least expect it. So of course, agility being high is a great time to torture you. So Cyberdark will hit the golem spike in more ways than one. Still was a pretty big favorite to win. That said, now he's been numerous turn run blocked by this Red Dragon, and we'll have to spend another heal more. And now he's about down to a coin flip. And then he gets back attacked. Because why not? Also not getting luck here, and so we'll luckily not kill it there actually, so he won't go into DL2 down into the could die at any moment range. But does need to kill it now, and should, and does. And at the very least doesn't get back attacked by DL2, so into the fight, but this is not safe, or honestly, at this point, even necessarily likely. According to my calculator, it was coin flippy. I guess actually no with the back attack. Not considering the back attack, yeah. still, it's I'd say below coin flippy at this point, mostly because of that last heal more usage. Like, if he'd managed to get in with 10, he would have been likely golden, but now he needs luck. That said, the swings have been solid so far. And after a brief 13, he's back into the very solid range, so cutting through and very likely going to be getting through it now. Bad heal more, but it isn't quite bad enough to matter. Down to his final heal more, but should have enough, and that 16 I think probably guarantees it unless he somehow misses. And he will get it done with a 9. Game wanted him to min roll for the probably guaranteed, yeah, absolutely guaranteed swing, so your GG's out for Cyberdark. Ran a close race, a lot of it down to just not going left instead of right, and making a couple very key but small mistakes, and then also just the massive amount of deaths. But ran a very good race and will finish with a time of 1 hour 46 amount, and also joining me in the booth, I assume.
Hello.
GG and welcome in, Cyberdark.
Thanks. It was quite the race, quite the map.
Yeah, it definitely felt very rude to both of you, you especially in terms of RNG, and also just the sheer amounts of weird little map fiddliness that was going on. I think you both last location Rimuldar and Caitlin.
That makes sense of where it was. I mean, trying to get to it alone was nothing but hurt more and things that could kill us easily.
So speaking of being killed, how did it feel having been honestly so close proximity-wise to Cole and the armor, and then just so many deaths on the way, dying so many times before you could even get back to Hawksness, and then just going right instead of left to that key intersection? How did it feel to finally circle back around and find armor sitting in Cole?
I mean, I knew something was over there. I didn't know what, and I was just so fed up with going, oh, you know, let's go for mountain. Nope. Let's go for Hawksness. Nope. Mountain. Nope. Hawksness. Nope. When I found a path I could take, I just took it. And I kind of figured something else was going to be back there, which is why I went back. Finding armor was, eh. What else can I say?
Well, for what else you can say, do you have any words to spare for agility right now? Because certainly it was wild in the booth watching, because I'm sure you probably were noticing the massive amounts of run blocks and back attacks that should not have been happening at the agilities they were. And yet it was actually happening to both of you.
On an agility build where we were getting lots of early agility, I was very surprised at that. At the end, I know an agility build is not optimal, and everyone else running an HP build is probably going to get in Sherlock before me. When we got that second last HP boost, I thought, oh, there it goes. If he found Death Necklace, I was hoping Death Necklace was Grave or, you know, something that I didn't bother to dive. And I had no intentions of going for it until Angel finished, and I said, well, just as well. But yeah, and then with that second HP boost, I said, well, he's in Sherlock already, guaranteed.
Yeah, the decision to do that wasn't really down to the build as much. A little bit of it was down, like I say, to just going right instead of left. Angel went left first and found Cole well before he went into some of the more annoying directions, and that saved him a lot of deaths. Not that they still didn't come plentifully. But the other one was actually, in a rare case of Silver Shield supremacy, Angel had the Silver Shield and actually managed to make up a bit of time in the grind after buying it, just by virtue of being able to defense break the, obviously you with the agility build were able to get there, but he was able to defense break the green dragons for at least 2, I think maybe 3 of the back half of the levels.
Yeah, that made sense. I was wondering if I could have ended up doing a gold grind easily. And the only thing I could see was if I had to hit level 20, I was going to have enough gold. If I wasn't going to 20, which I finished at 19, there was no chance I was getting from the green dragon.
Yeah, not the optimal enemy. Did you consider going off of the green dragon and checking the spike tile in swamp? Because neither of you actually did, and we still don't know what's down there.
It was further away, and like even though it was close to an inn, I guess, I just didn't bother. I don't know. I figured I had to go that way to get to Sherlock anyway, so why not just stay part way there and grind?
Yeah.
Plus, go with the grind, you know, right? Rather than when you don't.
Yeah, proximity to Sherlock is a tool in itself, a resource in itself, as I would say.
2 crits, that's really, really low for me.
Yeah, Angel
40
only,
ambushes, 40 blocks.
Angel only had 5 crits and also had 41 ambushes, so basically tied in the ambush game.
Yeah, I think the Magidrake he ambushed me and got me. I think I killed probably a couple dozen knights before I found out they had DL2. I hit an Axe Knight for 65, and then he turned around and killed me. Oh.
There was also the, I believe it was a double Hurtmore miss on a Green Dragon at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it no, it was a Star Ribbon. That was also, like, it was just, RNG was out to play this seed, and it had a very fun game. I hope you did too.
Yeah. It was good overall. I'm happy to be in Sherlock when Angel finishes. That's always a good thing, right? And for most of my races, it's been like that. So, you know, even though I've lost 3 of 3, it's still, I'm close. I'm within 5 minutes usually, so that's great.
And honestly, given how tough your group is, not that, again, all the groups are tough this year, but your group looks as one of the especially tough ones. So being close is honestly more than many racers can say if they were in a group like that. So GG again.
Yeah, thanks. GG to Angel. I know he couldn't jump in, but it was fun overall, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Do you have any final thoughts or thoughts going forward on your last, I believe, 2 races?
I haven't even thought about him yet. Me and Angel scheduled this one yesterday. I got to talk to the other guys now and see what we can get done. But nah, I mean, like I said, just looking forward to having a fun race, and that's good for me.
I think that's the best way to look forward to Dragon War Randomizer, is just look forward to the fun race and hope it arrives. But this one definitely was, and it was also a very close race for basically the entirety of it. I believe we're going to be raiding the American Dweem, so stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for a second of 3 races happening in an amount of time that I cannot translate right now because I am in a different time zone and I'm not good at math. About 1 hour. There we go.
Thank you guys very much for the restreamed comms tracking. Very much appreciated.
So enjoy the raid. Come back for the race in an hour, or don't. Dweem, fantastic runner to watch. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. I assume potentially Dragon War Randomizer, but there was no mention of it. But, you know, stay there, come back here, go to bed. Have a good night.